right after drop-off, and I think that might work well for people. And so we'll try to do this timing again this next time, where we'll let their prayer be our opening prayer, and you get to hear those announcements, and then we'll get started. So I'm going to pass the torch to Mr. Hudson. In our sort of job descriptions, Mr. Hudson, while he is also the secondary principal, he oversees all the operations of the school. And so I'm going to pass this because this is sort of his area.
Thank you very much.
You'll get to know him a little bit.
First off, I think that probably the big thing that I want everybody to know, and I'm going to introduce some people, but you know, with everything, as the word tells us, that not everything is always wonderful and yippee-skippy from the very beginning, and sometimes it's a matter of persevering and pushing through and working through things to be able to see the benefit and the glory to what God has for us and what's to come. And I kind of use that to say that's exactly what we're going to see. We have to live through a little bit of issues when it comes to the road work, when it comes to some of the traffic flow, but the blessing that we're going to be able to have when this is all said and done. One of the things that I wanted to point out, and that I actually found out from Linda, was probably 10 years ago or so, when the whole road out here was talked about and the school was moving over, we were told that at that point that the school was going to have to look at it, that we wanted this widened or done any of the work that the school would have to pay for. So 10 years later, God has completely blessed us where this is now the city has taken over the cost. And so they are putting up all the new electrical lines, all the road, the expand, everything has been done, and it hasn't cost our families or the school 1 cent from that. So again, it's just another example of how God continues to bless our school and blesses what's going on and what He's doing here. So it gives me great honor because I'm going to turn it over. Rodney Hudson. Rodney is the project manager for the City of Lee Summit for the actual construction itself. He's got Dave Hurt. Dave Hurt is consultant with Burns McDonnell. And then we have Matt Killion. Matt's with MODOT. And he actually has a couple other things that they're going to talk about. Not only just Jefferson, but then touch on kind of what else as we continue to see things. And again, I would challenge you that as we listen to what's going on, we see the plans for what's going on, please make sure that we're constantly looking at not just the right here, right now, but also the down the road about what we get to see and the opportunities that God's bringing for us in the future. So, Rodney, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks for coming.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Bear with me. This is kind of one of my first times to get out in front of the public and speak. So, I stepped into this role after we had a senior project manager retire, and I'm coming on board with a lot of misunderstandings about the project. So, and I say misunderstandings about the project because I'm just green. So, anyway, I brought Dave Hurt. He's the design consultant with Burns McDonnell, and I'm going to let him do most of the talking about what's anticipated for the design. I'll take some questions about the schedule, time frames, and if you have anything that you'd like to maybe vent about. So, but real quick, I wanted to share something. I've been trying to talk to Joe and the church also about just letting them know ahead of time that we've got construction going on and this is going to get ready to take place. Everybody knew it, but we just didn't know when it was going to happen. We've had some utility delays that have caused things to really stretch out and fall out of sequence, but we're trying to get back on track. But the church put together a great video, and I thought it was spectacular, so I just wanted to share it. I've been sharing it at work, and I just thought it really kind of drives home the whole positive point of what Joe tried to iterate about. It's going to be a blessing in the future.
So as you can see, we are headed into an adventure here at LSCC called road construction. Starting in mid-October of 2016 and lasting all the way through sometime in the summer of 2017, Jefferson Street will be northbound traffic only. I want to give you some details as to how to get here. If you're coming from the north or the east on 291, you'll need to come up on Shashir Road exit over to Jefferson and then head northbound to our location. If you're coming from the south or the west, we have a back entrance to LSCC. Coming off of Purcell's Road, you can head south onto Mission and then head east onto Glendana, and then we have a back entrance to our property. Want to invite all of us in the midst of this reality just to be patient, to show some kindness, especially if you're coming through that neighborhood from the south or the west. Drive carefully, drive cautiously. We want to be good neighbors to those homes that live there. And so, again, let's just make the most of this. It is what it is. We'll get through it. When it's all said and done, Jefferson Street will be widened, and so it'll be better for all of us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you find your way here. And when you do, I'll plan to see you here. Scuttle.
So, I thought that was a fantastic video. But again, I like to have people do my work for me. Good job. But one of the things that I kind of wanted to, I'm trying to wake up with some of the comments that he made. We get occasionally people that call in and say, hey, thanks for routing the traffic through my neighborhood. You've increased or tripled or quadrupled the traffic, making it unsafe for our kids, you know, to get out and ride bikes, you know, after they get out of school and stuff like that. So I just want to reiterate what he said. You know, I understand that we're all in a hurry and maybe coming in the back way or trying to find a different way through the parking lots. Just be patient and use common sense. Don't drive fast and obey the stop signs and the one-way signs. I mean, if there's police out here, there's nothing that I can do to try to get anybody out of a ticket. I know that we had some moms that met here, a large group of them, and I think maybe 4 or 5 of them ended up getting tickets. And because they came down the wrong way, they just, they didn't understand the detour signs. And I know that with today's stuff we have, it's almost like we have noise pollution with signs because there's just so many things to look at. But anyway, I'll get off of trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be talking about here and basically say that Dave brought a presentation board that he used when they first put the design of the project together to present to the church and to the school, because really the reason that, like Joe said, that we're here is because of the school and the traffic that it's generated. So I'm going to let Dave talk about the design a little bit, and I'll kind of step in to take some questions after that.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me out, guys. Dave Hurd, as Rodney mentioned, I have been involved with the job since day one. So we were hired by the city a number of years ago, I think back in 2012, hired our firm to complete the design. And we've been working with the city and the school and the church and a variety of the other individuals that live up and down the road, work up and down the road, tried to come up with the best plan that we possibly could. And, you know, one of the things that we always knew was going to be a challenge was to reconstruct Jefferson Street through portions of this project to a 3-lane section. That's what we're going to have when the job is done, is a 3-lane section. So 1 lane in each direction plus the middle turn lane. And that'll extend from Sheer Road all the way up through to Purcell's, along with the new traffic signal up at Purcell's. So the challenge that we always had was how to build 3 lanes of road on top of an existing 2-lane road, while trying to maintain some form of traffic, because we couldn't, you know, obviously we can't just cut the traffic off that uses Jefferson Street on a daily basis. So we had to come up with the best possible scenario that we could do that, and what we had envisioned from day one is what we think we're going to have to do some sort of one-way, 1-lane scenario that routes traffic in a circular manner. And so that's what we proceeded with on the design, and that's what we've seen. We have had some changes to what we originally thought, and that is in the direction in which traffic flows. Our thoughts all along originally were that traffic would travel from north to south during the one-way scenarios. And at the time, we felt that would work best for the church, work best for the school as far as their drop-off and proceed. But as the project proceeded and as we got Shearer Road opened over to 291, one of the things that occurred to us is that when we do that, we're likely going to have a lot of traffic, a large concentration of traffic that's probably going to go down to Shearer and then go over to 291 and have to make that left. A lot of the traffic comes from the north, so a lot of that drop-off traffic would have likely gone over to Shearer, gone over to 291, and had to have made that left back onto 291. Well, it caused us a little bit of a concern of having that large concentration of traffic making that maneuver. So a few months ago, our design team along with the city got together and we decided that maybe it would be best, because it's much safer to come off of 291 and make a right onto Shearer and circle back to the north. And so that was one of the big changes that we've made in recent months, and that's the way things are operating out here like as they are today. My chart's just kind of an indication of what's been completed thus far. Pretty much everything is done except for this portion up here in this area where right now this green section is the part that's under construction right now, and the traffic is over here on the yellow. Once the green's completed, then all the new traffic will switch over to the green section, the brand new pavement. It'll continue to operate in that south to north one-way operation along the new pavement while the guys replace the yellow port. That again will result in some challenges as the contractor will be constructing the entrances into the church, into the school, while you guys are trying to utilize that. And so obviously our contractor will work with the school and the church the very best that he possibly can. Obviously access won't be cut off, but again, there will be some challenges that will take place as each of those driveways are reconstructed during that yellow phase. And then the last thing that we'll probably work on is just the improvements up at the intersection of Purcell's and Jefferson. Having said that, I'd be glad to answer any questions, or sure.
What's been decided on that intersection?
Well, what we're building as a part of this project is a traffic signal. It'll be 3 lanes, a 3-lane approach, obviously from the south. We'll build a 3-lane approach on the north side, but it'll taper back down into the existing road. The city's got a future project that they're going to undertake in the next 12 months to basically build this 3-lane section, extend it onto the north. So that's a new project that the city is just now taking a look at. We've added some lanes as we approach along Purcell's headed towards the east, so that we'll have a right turn lane going to Jefferson, 1 or 2, I can't recall right offhand, through lanes going on through towards 291. And then we'll also have, a left turn lane going into Jefferson headed westbound as well.
Will there be a right-hand turn lane on Jefferson heading onto Purcell at that point right there?
No,
It's gonna be 3-lane.
it's 3-lane. Right now it'll be a north and south and a left turn lane. So it'll just be 3.
That's 90% of the traffic turns probably right.
Okay.
That's where everybody bottles up because
Yeah. Well, I think what our theory was is that very little traffic will be going northbound.
correct.
So that typical northbound lane will kind of act as the de facto right turn lane, because most of that traffic will be turning right out of that lane. They won't be delayed by people wanting to turn left, because the guys in the left turn right.
Once the city completes beyond 3 lanes to, I think people could go north to then approach that intersection at that other point as opposed to right here for Purcell.
Yeah, that might be something that we could take a look at. Well, the city could as they look at that next project.
Sidewalks, can you talk about sidewalks, what the vision is for in front of school, this side of the road, the other side of the road, bicycle access or anything like that?
Certainly. Sidewalk, the full length, I think it's a 5-foot sidewalk on your all side of the street, will extend all the way down and south of Shearer. Basically, the sidewalk will go from Purcell's all the way down to about Market Street, and then it kind of ties into the paved shoulder that we put down.
Yeah, that's what
So, and then on the other side is either 8 to 10 foot multi-use trail. So basically a wide sidewalk, 8 to 10 feet wide on the other side of the road, also for the full length.
I guess I'll ask the one question that probably everybody has in their mind is the section in yellow.
Yes.
Was done in the summer. Was there any thought to ever doing what was in front of the school in the summer and doing?
Well, actually, a great deal of thought is that. We had originally planned that at least one of these sections would have hit when school was out of session. But because of some of the utility delays that we had, it just shoved everything 3 to 4 months, and we missed that window. So, and then another reason some of the work down here was done first is because there was very few utilities down here. And so it allowed the contractor to go and proceed working on some stuff while the utility companies were still up here trying to move.
This is happening here during the school year. It's really a matter of cost that it's happening during the school year instead of putting it off till the beginning of the summer.
Well, as I, obviously we don't want to
Because you have
delay.
a contract.
Yeah, we have a
and there's
contract,
costs
and
that are
there's-
involved, so it's a matter of
exactly.
cost
Yeah,
versus the
yeah.
safety of it.
Yeah, I mean, once we got started, from day one when we got started, we're thinking, okay, everything's gonna work out. Then we run into a utility delay that we hadn't anticipated. The utilities are owned by private companies, and sometimes you're at their mercy of when they get in there and get stuff out of the way. And so once the project was under contract, it wouldn't be in the city's best interest to delay the contractor and tell him, let's not do any of this work until next summer. You need to just halt. I mean, that would be a large cost to the contractor, so we would not be able to prudently do that. Does that make sense?
It does.
And that's what it boils down to, cost and schedule of his work, and, once they get in, they need to keep proceeding.
I don't wanna make it seem like it's, that we're choosing cost over safety, though, because I feel like that's kind of not the case.
I don't agree. I just honestly, I don't agree. So, you have phone calls from the neighborhood about the safety for their children. The amount of traffic that's going up and down this road right now is significant during the school year, puts your people at risk. So there was a cost versus, so there is. I just disagree, that's all. Thank you.
From a city standpoint, what's happening on Stewart Road that's blocked? It's been blocked?
There is a one-lane culvert
That little,
through this creek right here. We've had a street patch over for a number of years, and it's been choked down to one lane, and we sent a proposal to the contractor to ask him to just give us an estimate on what he thought it would take, and it was a very reasonable cost, so we're asking them to do it as fill-in work in the winter when they can't be pouring concrete out here because it's just dirt work and bringing in precast concrete boxes to put together to create a larger section there so we can have that opened up for 2 lanes of traffic. It's an improvement that's really needed.
so the time frame on that will probably be in the winter.
Some of it will be in the winter, and some of it may be after everything's done out here. It's not supposed to delay this part at all. That's not the intent.
Understood. Because that would provide for some people from the south.
Correct.
Then I also see on there, which I had no vision of, that new 2-lane, what is the story behind that? To the west, new 2-lane with 6-inch shoulders?
Oh,
6-inch shoulders, excuse me.
No, I'm
Yes.
sorry, that basically just describes what was built.
Doing right here.
Yeah,
Okay.
that note just represents what was built
Just
here.
to mention that.
Yeah, that part up, there's a note here that says, this is new 3-lane basically from here to the north, and it's 2-lane from there to the south.
Understood.
You're putting sewers and everything up in there, but.
Storm sewer, curb and gutter, that all, yeah. Where down there, it's an open shoulder, and it just goes off in the ditches, but up here will be all storm sewer and curb and gutter and sidewalks and all that.
Just to be clear again, when I look at the front here, you're gonna have a sidewalk,
Mm-hmm.
3-lane, and then you talked about a path.
On the other side, yes.
Multi-use.
There'll also be an extended right turn lane into, I believe it's right here. extended right turn lane for southbound traffic that provides a little bit of a storage area there.
And how far south is that trail on the other side of the road?
The trail and the sidewalk both end in the vicinity of, kind of I think they extend down, across the old railroad embankment and kind of sort of die out. They tie into the paved shoulder that starts about where Billboard's entrance is at. And so the trail and the sidewalk both kind of will tie into the concrete shoulder so that if, you know, if a cyclist is cycling on the shoulder, they can make a reasonable transition from the paved shoulder to the trail.
And that's all the way down to Stewart Road?
Well, the sidewalks, or the shoulders can extend all the way to Stewart.
Now, getting back to safety, my biggest fear when we go down this road is, of course, the big drop-off. And with winter coming on, it's inevitably either gonna ice or snow. Is there gonna be like a barrier over there? Or, cause I have this horrible feeling, I just see a car, like half of it, you know, their wheels falling off and it, you know, being this horrible disaster. So it will,
Not worth trying to put down,
Right.
because we're out there trying to.
Out there daily, but if, John, if you guys are gonna leave for a period of time, you'll have some type of edge drop-off treatment that would.
Well, we have it now, it's just quite a great difference, and it will be a lot less once we get the new pavement poured, which should happen prior to. We're diligently trying to get there,
And
right now.
that is correct, I mean, you know, they've gotta dig down to where the bottom is at, by the time they put in, you know, several inches of rock and then several inches of pavement and bring it up, so the drop-off will be much less extreme, once the pavement is in place, before they move to the stage.
the good weather until the end of November, wouldn't that be nice?
He would agree with that.
Is there a way to avoid vehicle movement while we're dropping off our children or picking them up?
You mean as in?
Case in point, this morning,
Construction
Yes.
there was large vehicles trying to maneuver, blocking off the only way off this morning, and I know cars are backed up. Can that wait till after
Right.
8:15?
It did, we did that overnight, we had some,
So there's some conscious effort.
utility conflicts that took us longer than what we expected, and that's what put it, we wanted to be done by 5 AM this morning, but it just didn't work. We are trying to stay out of your way as best as possible, but, we got all the crossings in on the south end. We have some more up here, and we'll continue to do those at night.
There's a conscious effort. And that should be an exception.
We're trying, and we did not want to be out in the middle of that road this morning when you guys started coming to school.
What time frames are you trying to avoid regarding that?
Well, anything crossing the road or involving us to be working on the open lane, we're starting after 6 PM and trying to be done by 5 AM. You know, we are still having to travel up and down through there during the day. I know all of our guys are trying to be conscious about staying out of it around 3 PM, 2:30, 3 PM, and then in the mornings until about 9. It seems like it's really, really busy, but, I mean, even despite you guys' traffic, there's still a lot of traffic coming from businesses and everything else that we're pretty much doing it all day.
You made a comment about after 6 PM, so you're not having to work during the week too. Is that correct?
We've got crews that come in at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and they'll work all the way through the night, so that, you know, we can hopefully get anything that's impacting the travel way right now out of the way while there's very minimal traffic.
Thank you very much.
And we still get traffic throughout the night.
And that's mainly for some of the things that would truly affect the travel day. You know, there's, for example, there's storm sewer that goes from the side of the road they're working on that connect to the storm sewer on this side of the road, and so they have to cross the existing lanes again. So that's some of the type of work that they're doing during the night.
Yes. Is the school gonna work with Target is when we have situations where they just have to do what they need to do.
Absolutely.
They did this morning, they even announced it, all kids.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that we know that there is, and that's a great question, but even from the whole aspect of, anytime there is either significant traffic issues, weather issues, like if it's gonna be, especially as we start getting into, if it's icy weather, we're gonna totally just work with authority and say, okay, now it's not gonna be something that we're gonna go out and tell every student, especially at the secondary level. By the way, no tardies today. But we will allow the students to know that, so that, or the teachers to know that, hey, as they're coming in a little bit late, we've had some issues, we're gonna totally work with that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So can I have your cell phone numbers on days I'm running late?
Yeah.
That's every day.
I have a second part.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Your guys are so wonderful to work with. I know that there's a lot of safety issues and everybody's kind of not happy, but I really appreciate there've been a lot of smiles and there've been a lot of, intentional getting out of the way for a moment, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And waving and making it fun for the kids.
For the city, coming off of Mission, I don't know if there's anything that can be done. Obviously, this is a challenge for everyone that's involved for this. But coming off of Mission, is there anything we can do to avoid having the neighbors park their cars in the streets?
Because they're very close to the cross.
And it's impairing the flow of traffic
That's not considered
significantly.
an official detour. That's a convenience that folks are taking to get back into the back.
No, it's not the detour route.
Okay.
Too close to the stop sign, because you can't fit a car between,
And
I
everyone-
understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but if you monitor that,
We
they are too close to the
If-
stop sign.
I'll ask maybe one of the.
And it impairs traffic significantly.
Look at that. I know that we have ordinances in place that restrict that type of parking, but as far as, the only thing we can do is, like I said, just be patient. Some of them have kids that there's not a lot of room to park in the driveway. And I have 3 girls, my driveway looks like a used car lot.
Well, and I'm with him though, I understand they have to park on the side, but to park right at the intersection, it
No,
looks
I see.
intentional. I mean,
we
and I'm
have those
certain it's
folks.
not, but.
We have those folks that wanna do that intentionally just because they wanna exercise their opportunity to do whatever they wanna do. So I'll have somebody go out there and do that and see if that's the case. Cause it is a site distance issue in that case and
I got a MODOT question probably. Purcell at 291, the traffic that is heading to the east, and then wanting to go to the south. A lot of traffic's backed up there. If there was a turn lane, and I don't know what the property right away is with the convenience store, the gas station right there, but, there are cars, 5 or so, that are waiting in line because there is no right-hand turn line there.
Yeah, I know when the city did Daily, we adjusted the lane assignments there. I don't think we're changing on with our property.
Just want to throw that out. Maybe for consideration or anything like that, because if I'm just going this way and then wanting to turn right, you're holding up. And it's not too bad here, but on a Sunday morning, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
You got 3,000 people trying to get out onto the highway.
The two lets.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we're also working with the developer on that east side of 291, what improvements they need to make. So we can certainly look into that traffic study and see if we need to recommend a right turn lane. So we'll make note of that.
I think that once Jefferson's done, you're gonna see a lot of alleviation of traffic on Sundays in Bass Road, because it'll be so much better. People will go ahead and take Jefferson south rather than going to 291.
and to just have that, like Dave, have that, that third lane in the middle for those left-hand turns. So,
And eventually, I'll say too, at 291 Thompson Shearer intersection, we're looking at putting a traffic signal. So,
Down here.
yeah. So, now that Shearer has been punched through all the way to 291, traffic volumes have increased such that we need a signal. So, unfortunately, it's not as easy as throwing up some lights and
It's hard to get across there. It's a lot easier if you just go on down to Stewart.
Yep.
That new Stewart's wide open.
sure.
for anybody's suggestion, don't even try going across there, go all the way up to Stewart, and you'll probably end up saving time because you're trying to cross all the traffic.
What's happened, is the new interchange happening at 291 and 50?
Yes.
It's a good segue.
Good segue.
Part two.
We gotta go to practice. Let's start back.
So, our project at the interchange is still on schedule. We've acquired all the property that we need to make the improvements. $12 million project. We're going to a contractor in February. The work will start in April, May, sometime next year. And it's a 2-year project, so completion at the end of 2018. City's providing about half the cost. The other half is federal funds, so there's very little state MODOT funds in the project. We're managing the design and managing the contractor. So this is happening.
Say no.
I hope I'm not doing it. Okay, so what it is, this is what we call a diverging diamond interchange and a roundabout combination. So this next slide goes a little deeper into it. North is to the left. This is Jefferson and the parks here with the Summit Waves. And this is what we consider the diverging diamond part of it. So if you've ever been through 435 in Front Street.
Is that the one on Row?
Row.
There's one on, there's one out on Row in the Kansas side. We've got about 7 of these in the Kansas City area. So the unique thing about this is that it has a roundabout on the north end. So really this works good because you have a lot of eastbound to southbound in the evening, and the trip in the morning is northbound to westbound. So that's the reason the diverging diamond part works so good. The roundabout works good because the traffic volumes are pretty balanced throughout those movements. So as we work through construction, 2017, traffic will pretty much stay on its current alignment, on the current bridge. Ramps won't be affected too much. So all movements will be pretty much open as we build the 2 new bridges, do some of the widening down on 291. 2018 is when we'll see some impacts to some closures. So Blue Parkway gets closed for a good amount of time in 2018 on both the east and the west side of the interchange. We're able to keep Jefferson open. We're able to keep all the ramp movements open except for the eastbound to northbound movement. That's closed, restricted for a good amount of the project in 2018. So what else? I think that's about it.
So when does the Purcell's and 291 area start?
So that'll be throughout the project. Our goal is to keep 2 lanes on 291 open at all times. So you'll see there'll be 4 lanes all the way down to Purcell's on 291, and then we drop back down to 2 south of there. But our goal is to try and keep 2 lanes open at all times on 291.
And you guys are gonna try to get Jefferson done by this summer, this coming summer, like 2017?
Right.
Is that the plan?
Right. By the time school's out,
Yeah.
We'll have a party.
And so the link isn't working, but there's a YouTube video out on YouTube about how traffic flows through the interchange if you're interested. there's a link on our website too. Not a big deal.
Copy it and paste it into.
You can try that. And that picture I showed and project information and schedule is on our website as well. So it's very rough animation, but you can kind of see so north is up, the crossover intersection where you move over to the left side of the road, and then this is kind of a free movement to get on to westbound. And it'll be 2 lanes through there, 2 lanes on the exit ramp, east to south.
Interesting.
So we think it'll work pretty good. We're doing another one of these in Grandview, Belton at 155th and I-49. So we've got something similar there too.
You said there's like 7 in the city area, so it's already been proven that it works.
Yeah. This is the first one with the roundabout on one side of it. So when you enter the roundabout, you're entering on the left side as opposed to the right, which is unique, but it functions well. We've looked at this a number of times.
I know
think it'll work.
coming from the east side, that we're always backed up there where you have it backed up right now, just like that. Coming from the east side.
Yeah. So
I mean,
east to
that's
south.
huge for us, that's how we travel in.
Mhm. And the beauty of the traffic signals down here and here is that there's only 2 movements that need green time.
Yeah.
So they're real efficient in moving traffic, so.
Your other stationary traffic you got up first had a blue line, and it looked like it went actually over to the park. Is that some type of a bicycle path or
Yes,
something?
so we'll have a trail on the southbound lanes that feeds into that sidewalk. And continues to Purcell's. Or I think we might end it at Oldham, tie into Oldham, and then it'll hit
As long as you can tie into these.
Independence. Right. I think that was the
Jefferson.
goal in working with the city.
In a situation like this, are the signals based on the traffic flow, or are they based on timing, different functions and times of day, or how does that piece of it?
Yeah, we'll run different timing plans at different times of the day, and then we'll observe, do observations, see how they're working in the field, and make adjustments, so. Anything else?
I have a question, Matt. Could you go back to the other slides for PowerPoint?
Sure.
As far as phasing, is there anything that you guys have in the works to reconnect that Jefferson Street corridor with the Oldham Parkway as a sort of maybe a first leg to make that connection there for?
No, off into this way?
No,
Into
Going
the
north.
the blue, coming to the north
Yeah,
and then
going
headed
north.
to the west, yeah. From Jefferson Street right there, just follow your new line.
Okay.
Right there to Oldham Park.
Yeah.
Yeah,
First
that
one,
way.
that one right there.
Because there's a lot of people that use that on the weekend. I use that.
Is that gonna be one of the later phases or one of the earlier phases?
Actually, Oldham gets closed fairly quickly.
Fairly quickly. Because on Sunday mornings, how we do, Abundant Life Church is there, so there's 4,000 people that come there.
Right.
And so coming in off of the highway right there, right now, I jog off of Oldham and then jog on Jefferson and come in that back way,
Okay.
which is a really nice way to come in, without going through all the lights and everything like that. So if that's totally cut off there, that, I guess here will be here then now, where we can turn off of this first light right here, so that'll be fine.
Yeah, as we move into 18, this gets closed early 18 and will stay closed throughout.
Will the section
Throughout
turn
18.
off to 291 already be done at that point on Jefferson?
It'll be closed to make way for that construction. So, that movement will still be open.
I'm sorry, not off of 50 onto 291, from 291 onto Jefferson,
291.
where the new
on to
stoplight
Jefferson.
is, further to the south, or to the right as you're looking at the picture? Right,
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
there.
right there.
Will that already be done before Oldham's closed?
Yeah, not completely done with all lanes open, but, you know, most of the movements will be still open. Yeah, we've tried to keep everything open, maybe not all lanes completely open to traffic, but try to keep every movement available.
The traffic circle over there, where is that actually at? Is that going to be in some of that property that's now the shopping center? Or is it like the gas station, whatnot? Is that?
Yeah, we were able to keep it all within our right of way.
Oh, really?
We do have to
The
go on.
gas station's there still.
Yeah, that's all, no.
Yeah, the access will be a little different, you'll have to use the north access, but we built a retaining wall to stay off of that property.
So you're not building new bridges? The over.
Yeah, we'll have two new bridges,
Then the other one, the old one will be demolished, right?
and then, right, we'll take the old bridge. And really, that's what, you know, that's what's driving the project, is the condition of the bridge. It needs replaced, so.
And then long term, is there a plan to go east, where that new intersection is, just south of 50 Highway? I see there's a lot of lanes there, but there's.
Right, and that's that development I mentioned, and they'll be making that connection.
Okay.
You know, goes off to the east and then it turns south and hits Bailey, before the railroad tracks there. And then they even go south of Purcell's with their development. So, the first phases are more south, and this north part is later, but, I think they kind of phase in their roadway improvements as the development takes place. Okay, anything else? Okay, turn it back to the school.
Slide four. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming and sharing and going through everything to let us know, and also the forethought, like we've been talking, we found out even more forethought than I even knew about some of the timing with the construction, some of the other things that have been done. So you're a definite blessing, and we can't wait to see it all completed. I know somebody else will definitely pray for great weather as well, and see what can happen to get it done much sooner. So thank you guys very, very much. I want to turn back over to Linda to have the closing comments, but thank you all for coming and listening. And
I just had a question for the school-wise. I have students both in elementary and high school, and so for me to go in elementary and pick up my kids and then go to the high school, I can't go right, you know, to get back here, so how do I get to the high school from here?
And we coned off our little
My path.
yes, we've coned off the.
I haven't removed that cone yet, but.
I'm getting close to it, yeah.
Several moving around.
Go right over the top of it.
Yeah.
One of the things as you can definitely be, and you see in the obvious, safety is definitely a big issue on campus as well. And so one of our things is also, frankly, if you got kids at both places, the best recommendation we can give you is pick one of the two places to take to park and then just walk to the other side. It's not quite as convenient because, you know, you can't just drop off, walk over and drop off. But the moment that we try to have traffic and cars trying to go between the two different buildings and everything else, and there is some walking traffic, and then we also at the secondary, we have all of our lovely little preschool kids that are coming and parents are dropping off. The more that we can try to just have people drop and just walk over, the better and the safer it's going to be for all of our kids and for everyone else.
Playground, that's, you know, they're walking over to the playground.
Correct, and the playground is out here, and so we're constantly looking. John Owens, he's actually right back there. He's our facilities manager, a man of God, and a man that loves our kids at every different level. One of the things that he does is always out there looking to say, okay, how do we keep our kids safe? How do we do everything else? We're actually looking. John's idea is to put some bollards right out, some big metal beams on the other side of the playground right out front, just in case something was to ever happen. It would stop any car from even getting into the playground. So all those things all the time. So we're really concerned about the safety of our kids and everything. So that's why right now it's the best, but we meet with Officer Gittner talking about traffic flow. That's why we were out there last week in the mornings trying to see how everything was going through, just to try to figure out. But the best really is, you know, park, take a little, give yourself 5 minutes extra, walk that, whichever way you want to go, one or the other. And, you know, if you got both kids, you know, ideally park in the elementary and have your secondary kids do the Y. They can get some extra exercise in the morning.
So what you're saying is run over the cone.
John, I don't know if you heard that, but we need bigger cones to put out there.
One of the reasons we blocked it off was because we had a couple accidents out there too, people trying to go through there, so.
Is, when the secondary lets out, and you know, the elementary, when we're picking up the parents letting out on this side, so the high school students are going the opposite way of traffic if they're running late. So for example, we stay back until 10 after to let high school kids out and junior high and senior high parents get in. Well, when it's time for us to start going, some of the high school students that are late coming out of school, they're like, oh no, and they go the opposite way of traffic instead of just kind of waiting in line. So if you could maybe make an announcement, hey, that's not okay, because it is a safety issue. I almost had a head-on collision with one of them. Because they're trying to hurry to get out because they know we're coming in, and it's happened twice now. So I did say something to Officer Gepner, but, you know.
Absolutely. And actually, I have a meeting coming up in the lunch with all of our secondary students, so I'll be more than happy to talk to our secondary sheriffs and remind them about how we're driving and what that looks like. Sir.
Playground out front and the sidewalk, is that going to come right up to that fence line? Or how close is the road coming, and is there going to be a need to move that playground elsewhere?
You know, we took a look at that. It was brought to, the concern was brought to our attention, you know, way back when we did the design, but then again recently. And the reality of it, the new sidewalk is not that much different location than where the existing sidewalk is at. Because that section through there is actually already a little bit wider. And so the new sidewalk is within a foot or two of where the existing sidewalk's at. So there was no need to move the fence that's out there today.
Or in the future, from your project standpoint, then the school has to decide whether or not.
Right. Well, and with everything,
traffic,
and hopefully as we continue to pray that God continues to just grow and expand the school and through our capital campaign and everything else, that's always one of the things for future growth is saying, okay, how many kids does God bring us to our school, and then what is the best location to be able to move some things at times? So the current plan right now is it would stay there, and that's where, like John brought up the bollards to make sure that it's also extra safe on that side. But you know, hopefully if we get the explosion and we get the things that where God's touching, you know, that we would have to expand our preschool as a whole. And if that's the case, then we need to expand a playground area and some other things, and that would be down another capital campaign after this, so stick around, people. We're not done yet. Any other questions?
Thank you for taking my shots.
Is there any incentive for early, if you finish early? Donuts every Friday.
Right.
Well, I was going to say, you know, as parents, there you go. There's a chance for you to bless them and take them donuts or whatever else.
Working as quickly as we can. I don't know if an incentive would help. It would sure be nice.
A little extra sugar might keep you awake just a little bit better overnight. But anyway, again, thank you so much, Linda. I'm going to turn it right back over to you, closest time.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. And honestly, I've been in a lot of meetings with these guys. They've been great to work with and been sensitive to the school and what we need and the safety of our kids. And that is obviously the primary. Timing didn't work out exactly like we wanted. And so we've got a school year's worth of being nice to each other a little bit more, lots of more practice. But we'll just continue to keep the doors open with regard to talking and making sure. Do let us know your concerns. It's important to us, and especially as we get into the winter season, this is going to become, you know, a little more challenging. So, which brings me to the next thing you know, we put, whenever school gets closed, we announce that on all the TV channels, and we post it on our website, we put it on the phones, and we email it out in all kinds of ways. So pay attention to that. I don't think we're supposed to have a bad winter, but you never ever know, and this may impact it a little bit more, you know, where we may for this whole project, and we thank you for what you're doing to improve our street. We love it here, and we're looking forward to how much better it's gonna be, aren't we? So, okay, thank you, everybody.